The fluorescent lights of St. Mary's Hospital buzzed like angry bees overhead, but nothing could drown out the doctor's words slicing through the sterile air. "I'm so sorry, Laura. We've done everything. Your organs are shutting down. Maybe 2 days. 48 hours at most." Laura Bennett, 38, lay perfectly still in the crisp white sheets, counting the tiny brown water stains on the ceiling tiles like she used to count HOA violation notices in her mailbox. 2 days. That's all the time she had left to breathe the same air as the man she'd loved for 8 years and the woman who'd turned their Willow Creek HOA into her personal kingdom. David stood at the foot of the bed, one hand white-knuckling the metal rail. For a split second, just a flicker, his handsome face twisted. Not grief, not shock, satisfaction. Pure, greedy satisfaction. Beside him, Karen Whitaker, his mother, the almighty HOA president of Willow Creek Estates, patted his shoulder once, quick and triumphant, like she'd just approved a new fence height that no one else could have. Dr. Thornberry kept talking, voice soft and professional. "We'll keep you comfortable. Nurses will manage the pain. If there's anyone to call, any arrangements." He slipped out, door clicking shut like a gavel. Silence. Only the heart monitor beeping its countdown. Traffic hummed outside. Karen's breathing stayed steady, calm, victorious. "Well," David finally said, circling to her side. He took her burning hand in his cool, dry one. Laura waited for tears, for "I love you," for anything real. Instead, he leaned close, breath tickling her ear so Karen couldn't hear. "Finally," he whispered, "only 2 days. Your house, your money mine now." The words landed like a fine for an unapproved mailbox color. Sharp, absurd, final. Laura's foggy brain spun. Had she heard that right? 8 years of marriage. 8 years of building their life in that perfect cul-de-sac. And this was his goodbye. He straightened, still smiling the smile of a man who just won the HOA lottery. "We should let you rest, darling. Big day tomorrow. Well, your last day." Karen stepped closer, gray eyes cold as the fines she loved handing out. "It's for the best. Really. You've suffered so long. This is a blessing for the whole community." She said it like she was quoting Section 7.3 of the bylaws. "No resident shall burden the neighborhood with visible illness." They turned to leave. Laura heard them in the hallway, voices low but not low enough. "The dying hear everything. Call the realtor first thing," Karen said. "Get valuations. The Willow Creek house will fetch top dollar once we clear those violations I documented." David chuckled. "Sell it fast. HOA board can approve the new buyers. No more of Laura's complaints about unfair rules. Keep the rental properties. That Mayfair condo? Gone. Too flashy for our image." They laughed. Actual laughter. Vultures circling a still warm carcass wearing a hospital gown. The door closed. Footsteps faded. Laura stared at the ceiling, no longer counting stains. She was counting years. 8 years of trusting David. 6 years of Karen moving in temporarily after her divorce. Then quietly taking over the HOA board with her iron smile and endless amendments. Love makes you blind. Trust makes you stupid. And kindness makes you the perfect target for people who have neither. Her phone sat on the bedside table, arm like lead. She stretched, fingers brushing it twice before she gripped it. 2 days left, but she wasn't dead yet. She dialed the one person who'd always seen the truth behind the perfect lawns. Maria answered on the second ring. "Mrs. Bennett." "Maria," Laura whispered, voice cracking like dry grass under an HOA inspector's boot. "St. Mary's Hospital. Room 412. Tonight. Urgent." A pause. "Are you okay?" "No. But if you help me, you'll never clean another house again." "I swear." Silence. Then, I'll be there in an hour. Laura let the phone drop. Maria Lopez had cleaned her house 3 times a week for 6 years. Quiet, efficient, invisible to people like Karen who treated staff like lawn ornaments. But Maria saw everything. She heard the late-night HOA strategy sessions when Karen visited. She noticed the documents left out, the spreadsheets, the herbal wellness teas Karen insisted Laura drink every morning for your stress from all those silly fines. If anyone knew how deep this rot went, it was Maria. Laura lay back, replaying the last year like a HOA violation video on loop. The first tea Karen brought after Laura dared question the new rule banning political flags. It'll calm you. Dear. All natural. Laura had thanked her. Drank it faithfully. Got sicker. Lost weight. Missed board meetings. Became the neighborhood cautionary tale. See what happens when you fight the HOA. Now she knew. It wasn't stress. It was murder in a teacup. The machines beeped on. Laura's mind sharpened with every passing second. Spite, it turned out, was stronger than any poison. A soft knock. Maria slipped in, locking the door behind her. Graying hair messy, eyes wide with worry. What happened? I'm dying, Laura said flatly. 2 days. But that's not why you're here. She told her everything. The whisper, the hallway plans, the laughter. Maria's face drained of color. I knew, she whispered. God help me. I knew something was wrong. The way Karen watched you drink those teas, the way she and Mr. Bennett talked when they thought I was just the help. Tell me, Laura demanded. Maria spilled it all. Documents in David's office 3 years ago. Valuations of Laura's properties. Notes on liquidating everything once she was gone. A hidden folder with the old will highlighted. Conversations in the kitchen. Karen complaining Laura was taking too long, that the HOA needed her house for a new community center project only board members could profit from. And the teas, Karen locking ingredients away, snapping when Maria asked, You think she poisoned me? Laura asked, already knowing. Maria nodded, tears rising. I should have said something sooner. You're saying it now. Laura's voice gained steel. And we're going to burn him down with it. She explained the plan. Risky. Vindictive. Perfect. First, a new will on hospital paper. Shaky handwriting and all. Everything house. Rentals. Investments. To Maria, with instructions to run the business and take 20%. You're the only one who actually cared, Laura said. The only one who saw. Maria protested. Laura cut her off. You'll need the money for part 2. Part 2. The tiny recording device Laura had bought weeks ago when the teas started tasting wrong. Maria would plan it tonight in the kitchen, the spot Karen and David always gathered after hospital visits. Let them talk freely. They thought Laura was as good as dead. They'd get sloppy. Plus, the secret filing cabinet in Laura's home office, false bottom, deeds, hidden accounts David never knew about. Photograph everything. Sent to Andrew Fletcher, her lawyer. Maria took the device. Eyes fierce. I won't let you down, Laura. After she left, Laura lay in the dark, anger cold and sharp as a freshly mowed lawn. 8 years. 8 years of David smiling while Karen slowly killed her for the house that had once been their dream. Tomorrow, the dying woman would start fighting back. Dawn crept gray and cold through the blinds. A nurse brought untouched breakfast. Laura saved every ounce of energy, smiling through the pain like she'd smiled through every HOA citation. At 9 sharp, Andrew Fletcher walked in, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, the only man she'd trusted with her contracts for 15 years. Maria came to me at 8, he said, pulling a chair close. Gave me your letter, the photos, everything. Laura, I always told you David seemed too interested in your portfolio. You defended him every time. I was a fool, she admitted. You were in love. Different thing. He slid new documents across the tray. New will. Everything to Maria with a partnership clause. If you recover, which I'm not ruling out, this makes her your business partner. If not, he gets nothing. Signed and filed this morning. Legal in hours. Laura's hand shook signing, but each stroke felt like crossing out another bogus fine. Andrew showed his phone. More. David took a $200,000 loan using your properties as collateral. Forged signature. Transfers to Karen's account. Private investigator payments. He was hunting your hidden assets. Laura's laugh was bitter. And the tease. Maria mentioned them. I pushed DR. Thornberry for toxicology. Full panel. Results by afternoon. Hope small. Fragile flickered. If they find poison, attempted murder. Even if you don't survive, they'll rot. Leave the recorder running. She told him. More evidence. Around noon, the door swung open. David and Karen swept in like they owned the room, which they clearly believed they soon would. Karen carried her little thermos. Smile painted on. Brought you my special broth. Dear, hospital food is garbage. You need strength for the community's sake. Laura stared her down. I'm not hungry. Nonsense. Karen unscrewed the lid. Chicken broth smell filled the air. Too good. Too normal. Laura's voice cut like a violation notice. If it's safe, you drink some first. The room froze. David's phone scrolling stopped. Karen's smile cracked. That's strange. You brought me special drinks for a year, Laura continued. I've gotten sicker every month. Funny coincidence, isn't it? David stood slowly. What are you suggesting? Nothing. Just asking her to prove it's safe. Karen's hands trembled, screwing the lid back on. I come here out of kindness, and you accuse. I haven't accused you of anything, Laura interrupted sweetly. Yet, Karen stormed out, heels clicking like enforcement boots. David lingered. You're paranoid. Maybe, Laura said. Or maybe I finally see clearly past all the HOA smiles. They left. She allowed herself one grim smile. Let them sweat. Let them wonder if the corpse was waking up. Afternoon dragged. Every beep felt like a countdown to justice. At 6, DR. Thornberry returned with nurses. Blood draws. Questions. Notes. Mr. Fletcher requested extra tests, he said carefully. Full toxicology. Results soon. Laura just nodded. You'll understand why. Her phone buzzed. Maria. Got it. Coming after they sleep. Evening visiting hours passed. No David. No Karen. Good. They were probably home panicking, checking the kitchen for bugs they'd never find. At 11, Maria slipped in, locking the door. Hours of audio, she whispered, plugging the device into her phone. It's bad. She held it to Laura's ear. Kitchen sounds first, dishes, then voices. Karen, she knows something. The way she looked at me today. David, she's dying. Mother, paranoid. Common at this stage. Karen, she asked me to drink the broth. She suspects. David, she can't know. 2 days left. Maybe 1. Then it's over. Everything ours. Karen, smug. I told you the tease would work. Slow. Natural organ failure. No one suspects. Doctors think she's just weak from fighting the HOA. David laughed, actually laughed. A year watching her drink your poison every morning. You're more patient than me. I wanted to push her down the stairs. Karen, impulsive. This way is clean. Tragic illness. You play grieving husband. I keep the board seat. The house sells. Board approves buyers who will follow every rule. No more complaints about my amendments. They listed properties. Laughed about the forged loan. Congratulated themselves on the will update 3 years ago. Karen bragged about researching thallium. Mimics everything. David described forging signatures while Laura was too sick to notice. Then the worst, last night's talk. Karen, she's lasting longer than expected. David, increase the dose. Karen, she refused the broth. But damage is done. Even if miracle, she survives, she'll be weak forever. Dependent. We still win. HOA can place liens for all her old violations. For sale. Easy. Maria stopped the recording. Tears streamed. They deserve prison. They'll get it, Laura promised. But we need the tests. Maria left. Laura lay in darkness. Anger pure fuel. A year of poison disguised as neighborly love. 8 years of marriage to a man who counted her days like overdue HOA dues. Her phone buzzed again. Andrew. Preliminary results back. Coming at dawn. She didn't sleep. She planned. Gray dawn light slid across the floor. Laura's body ached, but her mind was razor-sharp. Spite had kept her alive past the doctor's deadline. Andrew and Dr. Thornberry arrived together at 7. Faces grave. We found it, Thornberry said quietly. Thallium. Heavy metal. Repeated small doses. Exactly matching your symptoms. Whoever did this knew how to hide it. Laura exhaled. How much? Enough to kill slowly. If we hadn't looked specifically, we'd have missed it. Andrew leaned in. With this and the recording, we have them. I called Detective Walsh. She's on her way. Laura's voice was steady. Do it here. I want to see their faces. Walsh arrived, sharp-eyed. No nonsense. She listened to the full statement, played snippets of the recording, reviewed the tox report. Her mouth tightened at David's laugh. We'll arrest them today. In this room. At 10. The door opened. David strode in, annoyed. Karen followed. Prim handbag, clutched like a gavel. They froze, seeing the crowd. Andrew. Thornberry. Walsh. 2 uniformed officers. What's this? David demanded. Walsh stepped forward. Voice ice. David Bennett. Karen Whitaker. You're both under arrest for attempted murder, fraud, and conspiracy. She read rights. Color drained from David's face. Karen's handbag hit the floor. This is absurd, David sputtered. My wife is dying of natural causes. We asked the doctors. Walsh cut in. Thallium poisoning. Administered for a year. Exact match. She pulled her phone. And we have you on recording gloating about it. She pressed play. David's voice filled the room. A year watching her drink your poison every morning. David lunged toward the bed. Face twisted. You officers grabbed him. He struggled, shouting. Karen stood perfectly still, blank. She looked at Laura with those cold eyes. You were supposed to die. I know, Laura said softly. But I didn't. And now you're both going to prison for the rest of your lives. Karen's expression flickered, pure disappointment, like a board motion that failed. Everything was supposed to be ours. We waited. We planned. The HOA needed that house. You poisoned me, Laura interrupted. Smiled while you kill me day by day. That's not planning. That's evil. Officers cuffed them. David screamed threats. Karen walked out head high, like she was simply leaving a disappointing HOA meeting. The room emptied. Thornberry arranged treatment, chelation therapy to pull the thallium out. You're going to live, he told her. Months of work, but you're young, strong. You'll recover. Andrew stayed a moment. Legal details are handled. They'll be convicted. Evidence is ironclad. There was just Maria and Laura, both crying, relief tears, victory tears. You saved me, Laura whispered. We saved each other, Maria replied. Partners now. Remember? The days blurred into pain and progress. Chelation made her sicker before better. But every session felt like erasing another Karen rule from her life. 6 months later, Laura sat on the porch of a new cottage by the sea, far from Willow Creek. The old house had sold. Proceeds went to charity and a legal fund fighting abusive HOAs across the state. She never wanted to see those perfect lawns again. Maria visited weekly, bringing business updates. They'd hired real managers. But Maria oversaw everything with a quiet competence that once made her invisible. The properties thrived. Tenants loved the new no Karen policy. Sunset painted the water orange. Maria Poretea, Realtea. No poison. Bath properties sold at great price. Manchester buildings fully leased. Excellent tenants. They sat in comfortable silence. Laura finally spoke. I keep thinking about that moment. David smiled and said, I had 2 days. Maria smiled. He was wrong. He was, Laura agreed. He smiled when he thought I was dying. That was his mistake. Maria tilted her head. What do you mean? Never trust someone who smiles when they think you're dying, Laura said softly. But always trust someone who cries for you. Maria had cried that night in the hospital, all tears. David and Karen had smiled. And those smiles cost them everything. Freedom. The house. The power. David and Karen were convicted. 20 years each. The trial made national news. HOA president caught poisoning resident for property grab. New bylaws passed in Willow Creek. Term limits. Transparency. Karen's kingdom crumbled. Laura raised her teacup to the sunset. To survival. To second chances. To the future she'd almost lost and clawed back with nothing but patience and a cleaning lady's loyalty. In the end, the HOA that tried to bury her ended up exposing its own rot. And the woman they thought was finished? She was just getting started. The first months of recovery were a war of their own. Chelation therapy turned her veins to fire. But Laura welcomed the burn. It meant the poison was leaving. Nurses joked she had more fight than most healthy patients. She answered every question about symptoms with the same quiet fire. Asked the HOA president why. Word spread. Former neighbors who once avoided her at block parties started messaging, apologetic, angry. Turns out Karen had been finding half the street for inspirational reasons while giving herself and David exemptions. Absurd rules suddenly made sense as weapons. Laura's flag fined for political, while Karen flew her own HOA pride banner. The neighborhood had been terrified of her, not loyal. Maria brought printouts from the hidden recorder, hours more they hadn't played in the hospital. Karen bragging how she'd rewritten bylaws overnight to target troublesome residents like Laura. David laughing about using HOA liens to force sales below market once Laura passed. They'd even discussed bribing inspectors. Dark humor in every line. Section 12.4 clearly states dying residents must keep lawns under 2 inches. Good thing she won't be around to mow. Laura laughed until it hurt. Laughing through the rage. The same way viewers would later, binge-watching the drama. Fists clenched, then pumping when justice hit. Andrew visited with updates. David's trying to claim the forged loan was joint. Judge laughed him out of the room. Karen's board seat is revoked pending appeal. She's fighting it like her life depends on it. Which, in a way, it did. One afternoon, a package arrived. Inside, a single HOA violation notice forwarded from the old address. Unapproved sale of property without board approval. Signed by the interim president. Laura framed it. Hung it beside her new no HOA sign on the cottage gate. Every time she saw it, she smiled the same satisfied smile David once wore. Only this one was earned. Maria and Laura turned the business into something better. No more silent endurance. They started a side project, consulting for neighborhoods fighting abusive HOAs. Know Your Rights webinars. Maria's calm voice explaining fine print while Laura shared the scars. Donations poured in. The woman the HOA tried to erase became the voice that exposed them. 6 months to the day of the arrest. Laura stood in court for sentencing. David and Karen in orange jumpsuits looked smaller. No more power suits. No more smug smiles. David avoided her eyes. Karen stared straight ahead, lips pressed in that thin line Laura remembered from every rejected appeal. The judge read the verdict. Attempted murder, guilty. Fraud, guilty. Conspiracy, guilty. Maximum sentences. The gallery gasped. Laura simply nodded. No cheering. Just quiet satisfaction. The kind that comes when the bully who ruled with ridiculous rules finally faces real ones. Outside, sunlight felt different. Maria waited with 2 coffees. Partners? She asked, handing one over. Partners, Laura confirmed. They clinked cups. Real partnership. Real trust. The kind Karen and David never understood. Back at the cottage that evening, waves crashing below, Laura opened her laptop. A new email from a Willow Creek resident. Thank you. We just voted to dissolve the old board. New rules coming. No more Karens. Attached, a photo of the old HOA sign being taken down. Laura closed the laptop. She raised her coffee to the horizon. 2 days, she whispered to the memory of David's smile. You were right about the timeline. Just wrong about who would be free at the end. The neighborhood that once suffocated her now breathed easier because one dying woman refused to stay silent. The Karen who thought her power was absolute learned the hardest rule of all. You can find the grass, but you can't poison the truth. And somewhere in a prison cell, a former HOA president and her son were learning the same lesson the hard way, while the woman they tried to bury was out here, thriving, telling the story that would make millions of viewers lean forward and whisper, hell yes. Years later, the story became legend in HOA Facebook groups, shared with captions like, this is why you never mess with a quiet one. Laura never went back to Willow Creek. She didn't need to. The documentary someone made reached millions. Clips of Karen's recorded laughter went viral with the headline, HOA Karen's poison tea party goes wrong. Memes exploded. Karen's face photoshopped onto teacups. David's smile captioned, when the inheritance hits different. Laura and Maria's consulting firm grew. They helped neighborhoods rewrite bylaws, fair ones, term limits, public votes. No more secret amendments at midnight. Every success felt like another nail in Karen's old empire. One crisp autumn evening, Maria arrived with a gift, a small plaque. For the resident who refused to die quietly. They hung it beside the framed violation notice. Laura stood on the porch watching the sunset paint the sea. She thought about that hospital room, the ceiling stains, the whisper that should have ended her. Instead, it ignited her. She had been slandered as the difficult neighbor, fined into illness, poisoned into near death, misunderstood by everyone who believed Karen's polished lies. But she observed. She waited. She struck with patience sharper than any gavel. The lesson echoed in every story she told now. In neighborhoods ruled by smiling Karens who weaponize community standards, the real power belongs to the ones who stay quiet until the moment they speak. The ones who turn betrayal into blueprint. The ones who survive not just to live, but to make sure the abusers never smile again. She raised her glass to the horizon. To Maria. To every resident still fighting their own HOA war. And to the simple truth that no amount of absurd rules can bury someone who refuses to stay buried. The HOA Karen who thought she'd won, with 2 days left on the clock, she lost everything the second that dying woman decided spite was stronger than poison. And somewhere, viewers were hitting pause, fists clenched in rage and relief, whispering the same words Laura once heard in her own head. Finally. Justice. The end. But the fight? It was just beginning for every neighborhood still under Karen control.